Another strategy is to adapt the packaging and the pricing. If you are going to sell I'm based in Nigeria. Nigeria is Anglophone, an English-speaking country. If I want to expand into other countries in West Africa, most West African countries are French-speaking, Francophone. So you would notice that if you're going to expand into all these other markets, your packaging at least has to change. It needs to have French on it because you are selling to consumers who speak and understand French. It will not make sense for you to take your product the way it is with English written all over it, and then you take it into another country. In some countries, depending on the cultural significance of certain colors, you can adapt your packaging to appeal to certain sentiments. They can be national or patriotic sentiments. So in some countries, certain colors are viewed more positively than some other colors. So if in a country particularly, purple is the color of national pride or something, that's something you can tap into, right? You can't just insist that this is your standard packaging. So depending on the market you're going into, you may need to adapt your pricing, your packaging, even your messaging, the way you sell the product. You need to adapt it. One example is Netflix. If you're a Netflix subscriber like I am, you will notice that the price we pay for Netflix is different from the price people in the US, Canada, and Europe pay for Netflix. You can go and Google it. Google, what is the monthly subscription cost of Netflix? People in the US, I believe they pay about $19 or $20 or so the last time I checked. The equivalent of what we're paying in dollars in Nigeria is about $9. We're paying about half what the US market is paying. Why do you think Netflix is doing that? Why is Netflix using discriminatory pricing? Why is it pricing customers differently? If Netflix tries to price the African market the way it prices the US market, it will not be as successful. It will not be as competitive. Why? The purchasing power here is lower than the purchasing power in the US and in Europe. So what Netflix is doing is Netflix is aligning its pricing strategy to be relevant to the local population. If you price the African market, if you give the US price to the African market, you will not get a lot of subscribers here. So Netflix is playing for volume in the African market to get as many people on board by pegging it at a price that makes sense for the local population. The other thing you will notice on Netflix is that if you're a subscriber, depending on your preferences, I tend to see movies that are local. So I'll see Nigerian movies, African movies, Indian, Korean, depending on what I watch. So they try to make it relevant. They don't just give me one standard product and all I'm seeing there are American movies. And they're like, Netflix is from America. Most of our subscribers are from America, so you must watch American movies. No, Netflix tries to adapt it to the preferences of the local population, and that is something we can learn from. You can't just enter a new market on your terms. You have to adapt to the local realities of that market. Remember, it must not be a physical market. Netflix is entering the African market through the online channel. Don't forget, it's not a physical business. Then, of course, the last thing I'm going to talk about here is to enter niche markets. If you're interested in learning more about the topics I offer when it comes to starting, building, and growing a business, this is your opportunity to join my community. It's known as the BMG. I provide extensive courses on different topics and challenges that afflict business owners, from how to optimize your profits, how to manage costs, how to boost your sales, how to develop processes, how to scale your business. There's a whole lot that I can teach you. If you want to go deeper into my content, this is your chance. Go to the link on your screen right now, jointhebmg.com.